The simulation chamber hummed with barely contained energy as Honey stepped onto the training platform. Around her, the other cadets, towering Crithians with their triple-jointed limbs, sleek Vexorians whose skin shimmered with bioluminescent patterns, and the hulking Drachner warriors, watched with barely concealed amusement. "Another Earthborn," Instructor Zector muttered, his mandibles clicking in what passed for Crithian laughter. "Command must be scraping the bottom of the gene pool." Honey kept her expression neutral, her dark eyes fixed on the obstacle course materializing before her. She'd heard it all before, in the mess hall, during physical assessments, in the whispered conversations that stopped when she entered a room. Humans were weak, slow, fragile. Their homeworld's gravity was laughable, their reaction times pitiful compared to species that had evolved under harsher suns. "Cadet Honey Martinez," the automated voice announced. "Commencing Level 7 combat simulation. Prepare for engagement." Level 7. Honey's jaw tightened. Most cadets didn't attempt Level 7 until their third year at the Galactic Defense Academy. She'd been here 3 months. Instructor Zector leaned toward his colleague, a Vexorian named SH Lara whose luminescent patterns pulsed with condescension. "This should be entertaining. The last Earthborn who attempted Level 7 spent 2 weeks in medical regeneration." The simulation began. Gravity shifted violently, tripling in an instant. Honey's knees buckled but didn't break. Around the chamber, holographic enemies materialized, 6 void stalkers, their forms writhing with dark energy. They were nightmare fuel made digital, the kind of opponents that could tear through starship hulls. Harry watched from the observation deck, his fingers gripping the railing until his knuckles went white. He tried to convince Honey to wait, to train longer before attempting the advanced simulations, but Honey never waited for anything. "She's going to get herself killed," muttered Cadet Vorgan, a Drachner whose scales gleamed like polished obsidian. "Earthborns don't have the bone density for this kind of—" Harry didn't hear the rest. In the chamber below, Honey moved. She didn't fight like the other species. Crithians relied on their speed and reach. Vexorians used their natural camouflage and poison glands. Drachner simply overpowered opponents with brute strength. But humans were different. Honey rolled beneath the first Void Stalker's strike, her movements compact and efficient. The increased gravity that would have crushed most species' internal organs barely seemed to slow her. She'd grown up on Earth, after all, where evolution had sculpted her species to endure, to adapt, to survive against impossible odds. The first stalker fell to a precisely targeted strike at its core processor. The second lunged, and Honey used its own momentum against it, redirecting its attack into a third opponent. Her breathing remained controlled, measured. While other species panicked when their carefully evolved advantages failed them, humans simply recalculated. Instructor Zector's mandibles had stopped clicking. "Impossible," SH Lara whispered, her bioluminescent patterns flickering with shock. "She's moving faster than the prediction algorithms." But Honey wasn't faster, she was smarter. Every movement was economical, every strike calculated for maximum efficiency. When a stalker's blade sliced past her shoulder, drawing blood, she didn't flinch. Pain was just information. Injury was just another variable to account for. Harry had seen this before, in the sparring sessions where Honey had quietly, systematically dismantled opponents who outweighed her by hundreds of pounds. Other species had evolved for their specific environments. Humans had evolved for change itself. The last Void Stalker fell, and the simulation ended. Silence filled the observation deck. Then slowly the statistics began displaying across the holographic screens. Completion time 4 minutes 18 seconds, a new Academy record. Injury assessment minor. Tactical efficiency rating 97%. Genetic anomaly, Zector declared, though his voice lacked its earlier confidence. She must be enhanced. "Run her genetic profile again," SH Lara ordered. Harry watched as Honey exited the simulation chamber, her face expressionless despite the blood seeping through her training uniform. She met his eyes briefly, and he saw the exhaustion there, carefully hidden beneath layers of practiced composure. The genetic scan results appeared within minutes. Standard human. No modifications. No enhancements. Just the product of a species that had clawed its way to the top of Earth's food chain through nothing but adaptability and stubborn refusal to quit. There must be an error, Zector insisted. No unmodified Earthborn could. The alarm cut him off. Not the training alarm, the real one. The sound that meant something had gone catastrophically wrong. Emergency protocol initiated, the automated voice announced. Vault 7 has been compromised. Unknown hostile entities detected. All personnel evacuate to. The lights died. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in crimson. Harry's combat training kicked in immediately. Vault 7. That was impossible. The vault was protected by triple redundant security systems, genetic locks, and enough firepower to level a city block. Nothing could breach Vault 7. Through the chaos of evacuating cadets, Harry found Honey already moving toward the armory, not away from the danger. Of course she was. The vault contains classified weapons technology, she said before he could ask. If hostile forces access it. We're cadets, Harry reminded her. This is a job for. The instructors are evacuating with everyone else, Honey interrupted. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were calculating, measuring probabilities. By the time real security arrives, whatever's in there will be gone. She was right. She was always right about these things. They reached the vault level to find carnage. Security personnel lay scattered across the corridor, their bodies bearing wounds unlike anything Harry had seen. The vault door, 3 feet of reinforced titanium and exotic alloys, had been peeled open like synthetic skin. Void stalkers, Honey breathed, real ones. Not simulations, not training exercises, the actual nightmares that haunted the space between stars. The creatures emerged from the vault's darkness, their forms shifting and writhing with otherworldly energy. 6 of them, just like the simulation. Except this time, failure meant death. Harry raised his weapon, but Honey held up a hand. She was staring at the vault's entrance, at the security panel still flickering with residual power. The genetic lock, she murmured. It recognized something, let them through. That's impossible, Harry said. The vault is keyed to the Academy Commandant's DNA and... Honey's eyes widened. Without explanation, she sprinted toward the security panel, dodging between the void stalkers with the same efficient movements she'd used in simulation. One creature's blade missed her by centimeters. Another's energy blast scorched the wall where she'd been standing. She slammed her palm against the genetic reader. The panel flickered, then glowed green. Identity confirmed, the automated voice announced. Martinez, Honey. Genetic marker match, classified, access level, Omega clearance. The vault's defense systems roared to life. Automated turrets emerged from hidden compartments, tracking systems locking onto the void stalkers with lethal precision. The creatures screamed, a sound like tearing reality, as concentrated energy beams reduced them to dissipating particles. In the sudden silence, Honey stared at her own hand as if it had betrayed her. Harry approached slowly. Honey, what just happened? Before she could answer, Instructor Zector's voice crackled over the communication system. Cadet Martinez, remain at your position. Commandant Vexler is en route to your location. The Commandant arrived within minutes, flanked by an entire security battalion. The ancient Crithian regarded Honey with compound eyes that had witnessed centuries of galactic history. I think, he said quietly, it's time you learned about your family, Cadet Martinez. Honey's voice was steady despite everything. My family died in the colony collapse on Titan. I've seen the records. You've seen the records we wanted you to see, Vexler corrected gently. Your grandmother wasn't just any colonist. She was Dr. Sarah Martinez, head of the Vault Project. When she died, she encoded her genetic signature, and by extension, yours, into the most secure installations in known space. We thought the clearance had been scrubbed from the system after her death. Apparently, we were wrong. Harry saw understanding dawn in Honey's eyes, followed by something harder to define. Anger, perhaps, or determination. The instructors, she said, they called us weak. They called you weak because they were afraid, Vexler replied. Your species doesn't have natural armor or enhanced strength or telepathic abilities. What you have is worse, from a certain perspective. You have the capacity to look at impossible odds and decide to fight anyway. You have the ability to pass that stubbornness down through generations, encoded in both genetics and culture. He gestured to the destroyed Void Stalkers. Your grandmother helped create the weapons that defend this galaxy. And you just proved that her legacy, your legacy, is more than just DNA. In the observation deck above, the recording of Honey's simulation played on repeat, watched by instructors who had stopped laughing. The weak Earthborn had become something else in their eyes. Not stronger than other species, perhaps, but stronger than their fear, stronger than their limitations. And in a galaxy full of beings who had evolved to be perfect for specific environments, that adaptability, that purely human stubborn refusal to accept defeat, was the most dangerous weapon of all. Honey looked at Harry, then back at the Commandant. When do we start advanced training? Vexler's mandibles clicked, but this time it sounded almost like respect. Cadet Martinez, I think you've been in advanced training all along. You just didn't know it. As they left the vault level, Harry walked beside Honey in companionable silence. Finally, he spoke. You knew you could do it. The simulation, you knew you'd succeed. Honey shook her head slightly. I didn't know, but my grandmother taught me something, through all the stories my mother told before she died. Humans don't win because we're the strongest or the fastest. She touched the blood-stained tear in her uniform over her heart. We win because we're too stubborn to understand when we're supposed to quit. Behind them, the vault sealed itself once more, its secrets safe under the protection of a legacy that spanned generations. And throughout the academy, the word spread, not about the weak Earthborn, but about the cadet who had unlocked what couldn't be unlocked, defeated what couldn't be defeated, and reminded an entire galaxy why humanity, despite all odds, had earned its place among the stars.